Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to my February wrap up. Today we're here with a new exciting video, hopefully. If you've been following my channel for a while, you will know that I've been struggling to think of a fun, unique way that I want to wrap up my reading months every month, because I want to wrap them up. I want to show you guys what I've managed to read, my thoughts on them, but I don't like just sitting down and talking about the books I've read. I've tried vlog style wrap-ups as well. I fell out of love with those as well, and I've also tried a mixture of like innovative ideas as well, like tier ranking my wrap-ups as well, but nothing has kind of stuck. However, I've recently started following a bullet journal channel on YouTube. She also does reading journals and her channel is Mochi Bujo. I will link her down below, and it's where I got the inspiration for this wrap-up video idea from. So 100% inspired by her, but I really like watching her journal videos. And what she does is she showcases her journaling in her reading journal, and whilst you see a time lapse of her creating all the spreads, you hear her thoughts on the books. So that's what we'll be trialing this month, and hopefully you guys like it. I have liked doing this, I just fell kind of behind with doing it. So I guess without further ado, let's hop into me creating all my reading spreads once I have finished all the books I read in February, and then we'll come back to the end and we'll do a flip through and you can help me fill in my monthly overview spreads as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So the first book I finished in February was Black Girls Must Die Exhausted by Jane Allen, and I really enjoyed this book, giving it a 4 stars overall. And it's rare for me to actually enjoy an audiobook, and this one kept me so captivated, so I praise the narrator for that, and I think she did a great job in narrating the story. But it basically follows our main character Tabby as she tries to navigate life with her job and her friendships and her relationship, and she's a reporter, so there's a lot of topics in this book that I didn't think were going to be addressed, yet the author never made it feel too overwhelming with the amount of things that were discussed. There are a lot of trigger warnings in this book, so be wary of that, such as police brutality, infertility and death of loved ones, but I just think the author wrote this book in such a well balanced way that it never felt too much, and I just really enjoyed getting to know Tabby and her friends and this story. I think it will stick with me for a while, so this is me creating the spread for that. I don't love how it turned out, but I did try to mimic the book cover in the paper that I used, because it has lots of palm trees and pink flowers on it, and the book cover kind of mimics that as well. But yeah, that's kind of the spread for this one. And the next set of books that I read in the month of February was for my romance reading vlog. So I read, or reread should I say, The Kiss Quotient, I reread The Bride Test, and then I read The Heart Principle for the first time. I decided, because this was quite a hefty series, to just write bullet points of what I really enjoyed about each book and a little summary, rather than like writing an entire paragraph on each book, because I wanted to fit them all onto one page. I do have a whole vlog dedicated to this book series if you want my more in-depth thoughts as I'm reading them, but I got to tell you, The Bride Test is my absolute favourite, and I actually think it's my favourite book I've read so far this year. I just think Esme and Kai are such a beautiful pairing, and I think they bonded so well together. If you didn't know, the Kiss Quotient series kind of follows 3 separate groups of people, but they're all connected. So the first one follows Stella and Kai is then cousins with the other 2 main characters in the other 2 books, and I just think the way that all these stories were intertwined were really nice. I didn't love the Kiss Quotient in comparison to the Bride Test and the Heart Principle, and the Heart Principle definitely kind of follows more of a contemporary take, whereas the Kiss Quotient is like full-on smut and the Bride Test is more kind of like a sweet romance. But yeah, this is my spread for these books. We're now moving on to one of my kind of most anticipated releases of the first half of the year, and that is Laura Jane Williams' kind of novella for Valentine's Day. So she released The Wrong Suitcase, which is like an 119-page novella for like in preparation for Valentine's Day basically, and it's all about 2 characters who accidentally swap suitcases in a hotel in Italy, and the entire 100 pages follows them as they try and get their right suitcases back, but they kind of never bump into each other, and they're both there for the same wedding, so they're bound bound to bump into each other, but they don't bump into each other until the very end. But unfortunately, I think by reading this book, I've really come to terms with the fact that I don't love novellas and short stories unless they are already from series that I know and love, just because I just didn't get enough from this book that I wanted, and I just kind of, it fell a little bit flat for me. And as you can see, I've quickly written what I like about the Tattoo of Auschwitz, and to be fair, it's a very forgettable book for me. It was fine, it was alright, but nothing special. And after rating The Bride Test 5 stars, I was quite on a high, and this is my next 5-star read of February. I am loving the amount of 5 stars I'm getting so far in 2022, but this 5-star book in particular is It Ends With Us by Colin Hoover. And I had this really cool creative concept for this spread because I just wanted to showcase the book, not kind of write about anything about it, because I knew that it was going to be ingrained in my memory. I didn't need to write anything about it to remember it. I'm going to remember this book because it was so powerful, so emotional, so raw. I love the characters. It is about abusive relationships, so be wary of that before going in. But I had this such a cool creative concept of this book with loads of falling like rose petals to kind of mimic the front cover. However, as you can see, as this spread continues on, it didn't go the way I planned, and I absolutely hate how this spread came out. Although I guess with the petal being black, like you'll see in a second, it kind of mimics how emotional and sad this book actually is, and it shouldn't be targeted as a romance because it is very, very emotional, and it did break me near the end. I didn't full on cry, but I definitely had a tear in my eye or two, and I buddy read this with Georgia and she felt exactly the same. But I absolutely hate how this spread came out, but it is what it is. Now, here's where I had a dilemma, because I wanted to include this book in my monthly spreads for reading because some aspects I did enjoy, but I haven't finished it and I've semi-DNF'd it, and that is The Joy of Small Things by Hannah Jane Parkinson, and this was a non-fiction pick. And I did think I was going to really enjoy this book based on the premise and the topics that it addressed, which is about finding the joy of small things in life, so dressing gowns, reading books in the rain, window seats so you can watch passers-by, and I really enjoyed some of them, but I don't think the writing style personally is for me because I found them sometimes not, I don't know, I didn't vibe with the writing style. I can't really pinpoint why I didn't love the writing style. Maybe they're a bit too informative and complex for me. I just wanted something that showcased the joy in what I see, maybe, rather than someone else's perspective. And there were some chapters I really enjoyed, like dressing gowns, like secondhand books, like phone calls, reading on the beach, window seats, compliments and stuff. Overall, I just didn't love this book, and I don't think it's going to be a book that I will continue, but I haven't properly DNF'd it yet, so we shall see. And the 8th and final book I managed to finish in February was to complete the buzzwordathon for that month, which was to read a book with a pronoun in the title. So I read The Names They Gave Us by Emery Lord, and I just think I am too old for this book now, or maybe not too old, should I say, maybe just the target audience isn't for me anymore, because this is a YA, and if you guys have been following my channel for a while now, you know that I am getting out of YA books, and I just don't find them as interesting anymore because I don't, and I can't relate to the main character to a 17-18 when I am turning 25 this year. So I just don't think this book was for me because I read it too late, but there were some redeeming qualities. There is a trans side character, and the story regarding being single and having the power to be single, and that relationships aren't the be all and end all, which I think is very important, and maybe would have been important for me to read at the age of 17 when I was in quite a manipulative, controlling relationship that I couldn't get out of and felt that I wasn't kind of complete without that relationship. So I think back then I think I would have really enjoyed it, and I loved the family dynamic of this book, but just for me, I just couldn't relate to it, and therefore I didn't love this book because of the target audience, and I'm just so grown out of YA now, and this book kind of really showcased that to me, which is really sad, and I do hope to read more YA in the future, but this YA book personally wasn't for me. So here is my overall dashboard that I create every month, so I can see the amount of pages I read per day, the schedule I've kind of set myself. This is a loose schedule, I don't tend to stick to it, but it just kind of helps me visualize what I'm reading when during the month. If I can put in buddy reads here, I can put in book club books here, etc, etc. And then down the right hand side we have my TBR that is being created by my TBR games, so those are kind of planned out during the video. And then I have a section for hauled books, and as you can see, I didn't haul any books in February. Go me! I didn't also borrow any books, but I did semi-DNF one book in February, and that was The Joy of Small Things by Hannah Jane Parkinson. And here on the next page is an illustrative version of all the books I've read. So every time I finish a book, I do a simplistic doodle of the book cover, and then underneath it I write the star rating, and I go a bit more precise with this star rating, and I do include half stars. So I read The Kiss Quotient, Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, The Bride Test, The Heart Principle, The Wrong Suitcase, It Ends With Us, The Tattoo of Auschwitz, and The Names They Gave Us in the month of February. And I do really enjoy having these as just kind of like a quick visual of all the books I read in February. And now let's hop over to my monthly pages, or should I say yearly pages. And this is my big table of all the pages I read every single day. I just think by the end of the year, if I do manage to actually fill out this in its entirety, then it'll be very, very cool to look back on. So that is just kind of a brief overview. There's not really much to explain here. And then on the next page, I do have the classic bookshelf that everyone kind of uses to write all the titles that I read, and each shelf is a different month. And I do realise I don't have enough shelves, so when I do come to that point of the year, I will add an extra flip page, if that makes sense. So that's been January, and that has been February. And then we come on to the fun bit that I want to fill out with you guys, and this is my reading challenge. So if you watched my January TBR, is where I explained my reading challenge in a bit more depth. But basically, this is a little book trail, 100% inspired by Emma from Drinking by My Shelf. Last year, she's not doing it this year. And it's to kind of make a list of challenges. These are my challenges here. And then if you manage to do them, then you get a little token in each box. And then when you get to the star, you gain a reward. And because light pink was my color theme in January, I did pink tabs. And because February's month was purple, then we're going to be doing purple tabs. So let's fill this out together. In order to fill this out, we will need to be looking at my Notion. So here is my Notion on my phone. Not the best way to view things, but it will do for now because I'm not by my desk. And we need to scroll down to the table where all my books I've read have been. And as you can see, my February books start at Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. So let's make sure that I read 50% diverse, which is my first challenge of the month. And so Black Girls Must Die Exhausted is diverse. The Kiss Quotient was diverse. The Bride Test was diverse. The Heart Principle was diverse. And because I read a total of 8 books in the month of February, I have in fact read 4 of them being diverse. So I don't get to put a token on here, just don't need to remove one. So that is great. I don't think I'm going to count The Joy of Small Things as being read because that was my non-fiction pick for the month, and my second challenge is to make sure I read 1 non-fiction each month. And because I DNF'd it and I didn't even get halfway through, I'm not going to add a token for that one. I read no translated books either, so we're not off to a great start. So I don't get a token for that one. However, when it says 1 borrowed, that can either mean my library or Scribd, because I do pay for Scribd and I want to make a conscious effort to use Scribd more often this year because I kind of fell off the bandwagon and I do pay for it, so I don't want wasted money. So although I didn't borrow any books from my library in the month of February, I did listen to Black Girls Must Die Exhausted on Scribd, so that is 1 token there. Woohoo, finally we have a token. So we're just going to pop 1 token in there for the fact that I read Black Girls Must Die Exhausted as an audiobook on Scribd. And I don't think, looking at my spreadsheet here, I used Scribd for any other book. No, I didn't, so we don't get another borrowed token, which is fine. But the last thing I'm kind of challenging myself to do every month at the minute is to do the Buzzwordathon buzzword prompt for that certain month. And February's month was to have a pronoun in the title, and as you can see, The Names They Gave Us was a book that I read in February, and it does have a pronoun in it, so I can add another tab to the little trail, and we can add a token to the trail there for the Buzzwordathon. So as you can see, compared to January, I have done really bad this month in my challenges, but that is fine. The main aim that I'm doing this year is to make sure that I'm reading 50% diverse each month, and that is a good thing that both months in January and February I have managed to do that, so I'm happy on that front. And the last page we need to fill out regarding the reading in review for my entire year is my little table I have per month. So I have the number of books I read, the number of pages, and my average star rating for each month. And then once this entire spread is filled out, I will have a quick overview of my year in reading, which is exciting. So let's fill out February. So like January, I did in fact read 8 books in the month of February. So we can write a number 8 in the number of books box. And I have already done the calculation, so you could probably already see it in pencil just to be prepared for this video. But I did read 2,436 pages in total in the month of February. So as you can see, I read more pages in February, but not by much at all, only about 50 pages. However, my average rating in the month of February was lower than January, and I want to put that down to the fact in January I started off my reading year rereading my favourite 5 stars of the previous year, so of course it's going to be higher because I already knew that some of those books were going to be 5 stars. So it hasn't gone down that much. It's gone down to 3.75, which I'm still very, very happy with because I've been reading some amazing books. However, a lot of them this month were just good rather than like really good, but I have still found some new favourites in February, so I can't complain too much. So those are all the spreads that I fill out after the month has ended, so I can kind of keep up to date with my reading journal. And that is kind of my reading journal, because after that we go into the monthly dashboards. So I will give you back to outro, Rachel, I guess. So there we have it. That has been my February wrap up with the utilization, is that a word? I think it is, of my reading journal. I'm really happy with how my reading journal is coming along so far this year. I have done some really fun spreads I'm really proud of. However, because in February I was struggling to keep up with making sure that I was filling out each book that I read, I am going to simplify it in March. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss March's wrap up with the same style, because I am going to continue it for the foreseeable future. Who knows when my mood will change, but so far this is the way I'm going to wrap up, because I do enjoy showing you my reading journal and I know people enjoy seeing other people's reading journals. So I think it's a great way to combine a video that I don't love doing with a concept that I love doing, because I do love filling out my journal and it kind of brings me some inspiration and it gives me an opportunity to enjoy filming wrap-ups for you guys. So I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give this video a massive thumbs up and subscribe down below to see future content from me. Leave a comment down below what you read in the month of February. Have you found any new favourites? Have you read any 5 stars? I would love to know in the comments down below. If you got to the end of the video, make sure you leave a journal emoji, so a pen, a notebook, a piece of paper, any type of journaling emojis down in the comments. Let me guys know that you got to the end, and I think that's about it. So I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.